So today is November 18th, 2022. Let me start by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. So I tried to make this show on the 17th and had some audio problems, so I'm redoing it again. Anyway, but I've updated it slightly with some newer data. Okay, so this particular presentation or set of slides is about stock symbol MMTLP. These are some thoughts I had about the S1, some price action, FTDs, etc. And I just wanted to, just go over that. If you're brand new to the show, you don't know what MMTLP is. We're talking about some oil and gas assets that are currently trading under the stock symbol MMTLP. They're going to be spun out to a company called NextBridge Hydrocarbons. The parent company is Metamaterials. This is in a region of Texas called the Oro Grande Basin, so it's called the Oro Grande Project. There are 3.2 billion barrels of oil in the ground and a bunch of natural gas. We're talking about a 49% revenue interest. It's near El Paso. So, and there's a Marathon refinery in El Paso, Texas. In addition, there's two pipelines, one for oil, one for gas, that are right next to the actual lands involved. This is what's called private land in Texas, which means you don't need a federal lease, and you can just drill and get the oil out of the ground. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so in order to spin this company out to a brand new company, because Metamaterials is currently filed, it's a publicly traded company and it's filed with the SEC. That means that they need to file an S1, and the S1 allows them to spin the company out. So currently they've filed a bunch of S1s already. So they filed an S1 initially in, July 15th or so, and they've had a bunch of amendments to it. And this is my take on what the amendments were, right? Basically, they had some clarifications around the September 6th timeframe, and then around October 5th, they had the first mention of MMTLP, and they talked about a possible short squeeze, and then after that, there were very, very few changes. In the amendment number 3, they basically just said they are not currently in any active negotiations. Amendment number 4 just had 9 months of financial data versus 6 months of financial data because, the SEC took a while to approve it. And I'm thinking it's going to be approved soon. I hope it's going to be approved soon. As if we look at the timeline, this is where it is. And as we see, amendment number 4 is, has just happened, happened about a week ago or a week and a half ago. It is the 18th, it's not the 17th, but it's been it's been several months, and I hope that they get the S1 approved very soon. I think they will, tick-tock. So, interestingly enough, because of the time factor and how long they've taken, next week is Thanksgiving week. And that means that on Thursday, every single place is closed because it's Thanksgiving Day. And on Friday, most places are closed because they usually take off the day after Thanksgiving. But stock markets are open for half a day. So it's going to be a very light week of trading next week. It's going to be Thanksgiving week. And just thought I'd bring that up. If you're outside of the U.S., you're probably not aware of that. But so this is mostly to the people who are outside the U.S. to just give them a heads up. Thanksgiving week is going to be fairly light trading because you've only got effectively 3.5 days. And in December, of course, you have Christmas, and we all know what happens in Christmas. So anyway, let's look at some price action. Today, which is Friday, we saw that MMTLP closed around $8.90. And if we look at the volumes were minuscule. There were 307,000 shares traded today. The average 10-day volume is about 800,000 shares or so, 790,000 shares. And it looks almost as though they capped the price around $8.85. Anytime it went above that $8.85, someone had to slam the price down. Kind of like if they're afraid that the price might go away. They're afraid that the price might run up way past $8.85. If we look at Thursday, it closed at $9 and it traded most of the day at under $9. And also there was very light volume, about 451,000 shares. And what that says to me is that shareholders are not selling. The only people who are selling this are short sellers. And if you sold MMTLP short, you're probably underwater because if you look at the price history, Most of the time, for most of the life of its trading, it was trading around $1.50 or so. And now it's around $9, $8.90. If you're a short, you're probably underwater. So the shorts are currently, I believe, they're selling the minimum they need to keep the prices down. And of course, the longs are buying it. The interesting thing is that they don't want to sell too much because, longs will buy it up and then they'll be even more underwater. So yeah, they're keeping the volume low, and of course, longs aren't selling. So the only source of material right now are shorts. On Wednesday, the price almost hit $10 per share, right? And so there had to be a massive short attack to drive the price way down under $9. On Tuesday, we saw a massive run up in price under heavy volume. So there was a short attack immediately because it was heading towards $10, basically. And there was a massive short attack. And you know what? The longs just bought it up and it went right back up. So this is why they're afraid, right? This is why the shorts are afraid, because the price action can get a little bit, out there. It can get a little bit out of control for them. They're underwater already, and this is just getting started. And on Monday, of course, we had a massive run up in price, again, under heavy volume, okay? Last 2 days, they've been light volume. Wednesday, there was light to medium volume, not very heavy volume. So that's the kind of price action we've been seeing in the last week or so. And if we look at the long term, this is the entire history of MMTLP trading. And as you can see, it was flat around $1, between $1 and $2 for most of the time it was trading. And but in the last few months or so, last few weeks or so, we've had heavy volume. We've had a lot of volume. And why is that? Well, the volume really started around October 5th, 2022, when the price was around $1.73, right? We started getting what I would call heavy volume around that point in time. And if you look at that point in time and ask yourself, what happened then? Well, around that time, we had the S1 Amendment number 2 that was filed. And the Amendment number 2, basically, it was the first mention of MMTLP. And it also detailed out a possible short squeeze among, the people who were short MMTLP, how they would, have to go out and buy the shares at any price, and that the price could go way above any concept of fundamental value. So that's what everyone's waiting for. That's what everyone's, we're all waiting for the S1 amendments to be approved, right? And here's the timeline, right? Basically, what we're waiting for is the approval. And once we get the S1 approval, we'll know what the last day of trading of MMTLP is. And at that point, all the shorts must close their MMTLP positions by the last day of trading. What does that mean? Shorts sell something that they don't own, hoping to buy it back later. If the shorts have an open position, they have to buy to close, right? So this is forced buying by the shorts because they've sold something that they didn't own, and now they have to, render it up because, quite frankly, it's not going to be traded afterwards, right? What's going to happen is that everyone who has a share of MMTLP will then be distributed a share of NextBridge Hydrocarbons as a dividend, okay? And NextBridge Hydrocarbons will not be tradable. You cannot trade that stock. You basically will get that as a dividend, and it's yours, and you will hold on to it. It's, for the most part, non-tradable. I mean, if you have a friend and you want to sell your shares to your friend, of course you can, because he'll give you some cash, you'll give him the shares, you're done. But in general, it's not tradable on markets, not easily at least. And this is what we're talking about. So there could be a massive increase in price of MMTLP way beyond any fundamental value of NextBridge Hydrocarbons. And don't forget, the fundamental value of NextBridge Hydrocarbons is pretty high because there's 3.2 billion barrels of oil in the ground, okay? And so there could be a massive increase in price way beyond, even what the fundamental value is. And that could happen before the last day of trading, right? Because the shorts have to close their positions, which means they have to buy to close their positions. So this is the short squeeze that people are talking about, and this is why a lot of people are interested in MMTLP stock, and this is why the volumes are up. Now, this brings me up to this particular posting by William Stuart. This posting has been, every single person who knows anything about MMTLP has read this posting and commented on it because it's really major. Rollerpigeons has commented on it, and if you haven't seen her video, I recommend you check out Rollerpigeons' video on this posting. It's very illustrative, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to give you my take on it. Everyone basically gives their own take on what they read from this. I'm going to give you my take, which is unbiased, of course, but basically almost everyone's going to have the same opinion because it's pretty much, that's the way it is. Anyway, so this is your number 2 shareholder reporting back. He has 17.8 million shares. So the only person who has more shares is Greg McCabe, by the way. TD Ameritrade just stopped my ability to purchase more shares because I would not lend or sell my shares. Again, he's talking MMTLP. They've been bugging me over the last few weeks to play ball with them by lending or selling my shares. Other fellow holders have given me a similar story. Bottom line is, this tells you there are not enough shares to clear TD's books. This also explains why the limit ask continues to rise and is now above $350. They're doing this to understand the cost for the shares they need to close out the shorts, if necessary. In my opinion, do not lend out shares. Do not set limit sale orders with stops or trailing stops. The stock price will start to move violently up and down in an attempt to shake your confidence and grab your shares. Know what you hold. Go for the gold. This is not financial advice, just one person's opinion. Good luck to all. Stay strong. Okay. So why is he talking about this? Why does this matter? This guy has a boatload of shares, 17.8 million shares, which he bought, right? So he went out of his way and he bought all these shares through his broker, TD Ameritrade. Now, there are other people who sell shares, of course, and we all know about shorts and naked shorts. These are people who sell shares that they don't own, and they hope to buy back the shares at a later point in time at a lower price. Okay. Now they have 3 days in which to deliver these shares that they have not sold, and in order for them to deliver these shares, they need to borrow some shares from somebody who has them and deliver those shares, right? So shorts and naked shorts want to borrow the shares to cover and maintain their open position their open short position, right? So this means that they can at some point later on buy the shares from someone at a lower price. That is their plan, right? However, the share price has gone up dramatically and no one's allowing them to borrow their shares. So what happens? What happens when naked shorts cannot borrow the shares, right? Well, you get what's called a failure to deliver. And the SEC keeps track of failures to deliver. This is their website, by the way. They say, here's fails to deliver data. And every, twice a month, they update their fails to deliver. They have the first half of the month and the second half of the month. And they update this. And I grabbed the second half of the month for October. This was just recently released. This is the fails to deliver. And if you look back throughout time, you can see MMTLP, what the fails to deliver are. I'm not very good at looking at these raw numbers. I like to put them into a graph. So hence, I put them into a graph. And we can just look at the newest data. The newest fails to deliver data. We see that there's a whole bunch of fails to deliver from 10/17 to 10/31. There should be 0 fails to deliver. 0. But there's a whole bunch, right? So what's going on? What's going on is that these are shorts. These are people who've sold shares that don't exist, okay? And they borrowed it. They could not borrow them from anyone, so they failed to deliver. And their short position is probably still open, and they need to, They need to eventually, at some point in time in the future, they will need to close their short position, okay? So this, to me, represents what the open interest is in the short. What the open interest is as far as MMTLP shorts, okay? Now, we don't have data for November because, again, the SEC only gives you data from last month. I mean, at the earliest you can get it is like 15 days old, right? It's usually older than that, but it's probably going to be 15 days or older. So there's not much you can do with that. But here's where the big but comes in. There's FINRA data. FINRA has a rule that they say it's called Rule 4320, and it defines what's called a threshold security. A threshold security basically has an aggregate fail to deliver position of 10,000 shares or more, okay? And if it's got to be valued at $50,000 or more as well, too. that basically means it's got to be $5 or more in price. MMTLP is obviously $5 and more in price. So what is is MMTLP a threshold security according to FINRA? So you look in the FINRA list and voila, you find a whole bunch of threshold securities. It hit the threshold list on October 14th, and I believe that was probably when it hit $5 a share. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, it hit the threshold list on October 14th, and it has been on the threshold list every single frickin' day all the way up to November 11th. What does that mean to me? There are certain rules, by the way. Rule 4320 says that they have to do something to close their position or find the shares or whatever. I don't think that they're actually following that. Who knows? In either case, there are 26. It's been on the threshold list for 26 consecutive days. What that says to me is that there will be fails to deliver every single frickin' day from November 1st all the way up till November 18th. The next time the SEC releases data, it will release data from November 1st to November 14th or 15th, I forget. Anyway, it's going to go from the 1st to the 15th, basically, for the first half of the month. And all of those will have fails to deliver as well, which means the short position is increasing. Okay, the short position is increasing. This is what I believe it's going to look. There's going to be a whole bunch of FTDs, failure to deliver, and these are going to be naked shorts, right? Because they obviously didn't have the share. They obviously didn't borrow the shares. Could there be more than what's actually listed? Yeah, of course. Duh. There could be a lot more. But we are expecting naked shorts. Why do I care about naked shorts? Because of this posting basically sums everything up. Bottom line, this tells you there are not enough shares to clear TD's books. Okay, not enough shares to clear TD's books. That means TD has a bunch of people who are short the shares, and not enough people who are long the shares, or who are long the shares and will let the shorts borrow the shares, right? So that means those shorts have to buy, and that means that those prices could go up significantly. Okay, TD is worried, okay, but they want to know at what cost it would take to close out the shorts. At what point will the long sell so that the shorts can be closed out, right? That's why they allow you to place whatever ask you are, because they want to find out at what price you're willing to sell at. In this case, the limit ask continues to rise and is now above $350. Most people are willing to sell at about $350 or more for their MMTLP positions. Okay, that's what price shorts would have to pay. Okay. Oh man, that's the price shorts would have to pay. Don't forget, TD Ameritrade is a broker. They have clients that are short MMTLP. These shorts have a liability to their broker to buy back the shares that were sold short. This is a liability, right? They've sold something they don't own. They have to buy it back. And TD Ameritrade wants to know how high the price of MMTLP can go. And the reason that is, they want to make sure that their short clients have enough money, moolah, dollars, to pay TD Ameritrade in case MMTLP skyrockets. Because if they don't have enough money, then they're going to get a margin call. Okay? And clearly, we can see that MMTLP could clearly go above $300 per share according to this posting. Okay? It's a really good post. It tells you a lot what's going on there. Finally, the last part of the post says, in my opinion, do not lend out shares, do not set limit sale orders with stop or trailing stops. The stock price will start to move violently up and down in an attempt to shake your confidence and grab your shares. Okay, so let's talk about stop losses, okay? Suppose you set a stop loss at some point. This is, of course, a longer history of MMTLP. If you set a stop loss at $3 when the price was starting to rise to $3.50 or so, and you bought some and you said, okay, I'm going to put a stop loss of $3. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose too much money, right? Well, your stop loss would have gotten triggered about 3 days later. Okay, or I'm sorry, about 3 hours later. I think an hour and a half later. This is each bar represents a half hour, so each bar represents 30 minutes, okay? So your stop loss would have gotten triggered immediately. So you'd have bought your shares at $3.50 or $3.25, sold it, and you'd have lost 10% immediately that following day, right? Immediately after that. Suppose you set your stop loss suppose the price rose up significantly more and you set a stop loss at 350, right? And you were buying, I don't know, way back around the 11th when the price was 450. You said, okay, I'm going to set a stop loss around 350. Okay, the price goes up, goes up, goes up, hits $7.50 almost, and then it gets slammed by shorts. Your stop loss didn't get triggered yet, but eventually it gets slammed by shorts a second time. That means your stop loss gets triggered. You're now out your shares. What happened? You bought at 450 and you sold at 350. You lost $1 per share. Okay. Do you want to still be in this stock? Probably not if you have stop losses. Okay. But if you didn't have a stop loss, because look what happened to the stock price afterwards. It went right back up to 750. If you look at, where the stock price is today, it's almost $9. It's around, And in general, if you set stop losses, they will get triggered. They'll get triggered by manipulative short sellers. Okay, their goal is to drive down prices in order to trigger your stop losses. If you have stop losses, they will get triggered by manipulative shorts. Okay, and the reason that they want you to sell is because they want to or the reason they want to trigger your stop losses is they want to drive the prices down even further. It's called a waterfall effect. What they're hoping to do is to get waterfall selling, right? They will sell shares short into the market that they don't own, hoping to trigger your stop loss, which will cause you to sell automatically without your conscious approval, and that will cause the price to go down even more, right? So that's what they're trying to do. It's called a waterfall effect. So there's a lot of stuff going on here in this market, right? So I recently came into some money, I recently got access to some money, and I wanted to buy more MMTLP, so I posted on Twitter what my plan was, right? So this is a similar situation, I think, to people who are buying MMTLP for the first time, okay? And I think that they're probably going to do something similar to me if they're, if they have a plan to buy, right? So what I did was I split my order. Normally I would just buy, right? But in this case, I split my order into two orders. The first is a market buy, and I buy at whatever the current price is, because the price could be skyrocketing and it could go up even more. Who knows, right? That's my initial position. I have a second buy order, right, at a lower price, and it's a low price from a few days ago. So if the shorts attack, my second buy order gets triggered, number two gets triggered. I'm very happy at that point because I've gotten some stock at some dirt cheap prices by their manipulative short actions. If they never, if they never short attack, or if the short attack is too weak and that buy never triggers, I got no problem because I already have shares, right? I bought the shares in that initial buy. The price is going up, and I can always move that second limit buy up in price, right, as the price increases dramatically. So for me, that's a win-win. So shorts can attack. I'm extremely happy because that means my low bid buy order gets triggered. If the shorts don't attack, well, hey, it's no problem. Then, I'm still making tons of money, and I can move that second buy order up, waiting for the shorts to attack eventually at some point in time, So, okay, so don't forget the goal is, the overall theme right now is that there could be a massive increase in price of MMTLP, way beyond what the fundamental value of the next bridge hydrocarbon shares are. Okay, and it's likely to happen before trading ends on the last day of trading, and the shorts will have to close their positions, and that means they will have to buy to close. They will be forced to close, just like they tried to force you to to automatically sell with their triggering of your stop losses. Easiest way to avoid that whole thing is to of course not have stop losses. This is why. This is why William said, do not put stop losses on. You're just going to lose your money. He's just, showing you that, that's just the way things are. That's what they do. So if you're brand new to MMTLP, I've got some videos here that might help you out. A general purpose video is 1 year of trading on the OTC markets. It's about 24 minutes, gives you an idea of what's going on with MMTLP and that whole 1 year of trading. I talk about stop losses in detail for about 10 minutes on this, how they trigger stop losses and why they trigger stop losses and how they work. And I've got an FAQ as well for new investors. And the reason I have an FAQ is because you might not know, which brokers to buy from. You might not even know how many shares there are because there's a lot of misinformation out there as to the number of shares. By the way, there's 165 million shares of MMTLP out there. Some people think there are 360. Some people think there's 320 million. But no, there's 165 million in its it's listed in the SEC filings. So that's where all that info comes from. If you want to know about the SEC S1 filing process, I've got a whole bunch of videos on that. With the last video being amendment number 4 is filed. So yeah, so you can check those videos out in detail. This is the this is the video. The very first video, it talks about the S1 in general. Each subsequent video talks about the differences and what changed in the S1. So check it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. In either case, the S1 I believe the S1 will be approved very, very soon. This is a picture of, this is some drone footage that Torchlight Energy had, by the way, of the rigs that they have when they were drilling for oil. They have they have a bunch of rigs out there. Anyway, so the good news is that there's a last video that I suggest everyone check out. It's called the double squeeze video, because MMTLP is just the first part of even more of an even bigger squeeze, right? Because the parent company, MMAT, it has a very low market cap right now. And the CEO of the parent company, his name is George Palikaris, he said, I think the Torchlight original shareholders will be very happy with their dividend, and I hope that they do whatever they want with it, but I hope that they might possibly reinvest some of that money back into MMTLP. If that happens, there could be a huge, massive increase in the price of MMAT, and you could get a second squeeze out of it, right? So that could be really exciting and cool. So anyway, this concludes my video. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Of course, this information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. I hope to see you on the moon. And this is the Market Moves video channel, and my name is Tony. So goodbye and thank you. Goodbye.